Welcome to the Golden Gems podcast. Today we're taking a deep dive into Martin Lawrence, the billion-dollar architect of cultural friction, an examination of the comedian's economic leverage, defiant voice, and decades-long battle against industry censorship. And, we're not starting this conversation in the 90s, where you might expect. We're actually starting in the future, January 2026.
Right.
Martin Lawrence is set to play 2 nights, completely sold out, at the MGM National Harbor in D.C. and the Platinum seats. They're going for over $250.
And this isn't some, nostalgia act. The way the source material frames it, this is a vindication tour.
A victory lap for a guy who Hollywood, for decades, really tried to sideline.
Absolutely. And that gets to the heart of it, right? The economic disconnect. His work between TV syndication and his films has pulled in billions with a B. But the whole time, the industry treated him like a sidekick, or at worst, a liability. So what we really have to dig into is how he built this fortress of cultural specificity, as the sources call it.
A fortress they couldn't buy and they couldn't ignore.
Exactly. It forced them to come to him on his terms.
So to get that defiant voice,
you
really have to go back to his childhood. He was born in West Germany in '65. His parents were in the military.
Right, a military family.
They eventually settled in Landover, Maryland. And that constant moving around, it shaped him. The sources argue his humor wasn't just a talent, it was a defense mechanism.
It's survival. I mean, it's one thing to want to be a comedian. It's another thing to need comedy to navigate a new school, a new neighborhood. You have to learn how to read a room instantly.
And that raw reactive energy is exactly what made him famous, but it's also the first thing the industry tried to, smooth over.
Okay, so let's get into that first real moment of friction. It all starts with a rejection, really. 1987's Star Search.
The comedy pipeline. The whole goal of that show was to find the next guy who could sit on Johnny Carson's couch, polished, safe.
And Martin Lawrence was the absolute antithesis of that. He gets on stage, he loses to Jason Stuart, and it's not because he wasn't funny. It was a mismatch. He was physical, he was raw. His whole rhythm was rooted in a black vernacular that the gatekeepers, like, Ed McMahon, they just didn't get it.
Star Search was looking for acts with no friction. Lawrence was friction.
Right. So what does he do? Instead of changing his act to fit in, he makes a huge pivot. He completely leaves that mainstream path.
And enters what the sources call the shadow economy. He gets a part on what's happening now. Starts hitting the club circuits hard in D.C. and New York.
And that was a genius move. It was defiance. He got to sharpen his act without some network suit giving him notes. He wasn't trying to translate his experience for a white audience anymore.
He was amplifying it.
He was amplifying it for the people who already got it. And he learned his value wasn't in assimilating, it was in being abrasive.
That strategy paid off. And it paid off fast. It gave him this incredible leverage. Which brings us to the ultimate weapon against respectability politics.
HBO.
Def Comedy Jam, 1992. With Martin as the host, the face of the whole operation.
And you can't overstate what a cultural assault that show was. I mean, it wasn't just a program. It was the Black Comedy Club, uncut, beamed into living room.
Profanity, the energy.
All of it. Everything that mainstream TV had systematically filtered out of Black performance, he put it front and center. He built the space.
And the money followed. It became HBO's highest-rated late-night show. It proved there was this huge untapped market that was starving for exactly that.
And that success, it just gave him unbelievable power. He went from being a performer to basically a kingmaker overnight.
He's launching Dave Chappelle, Chris Tucker, Bernie Mac.
He controlled the pipeline. So when he goes to Fox, which at the time was this struggling network, he's not asking for a job. He's negotiating from a position of immense strength.
And the result of that negotiation is Martin in 1992. The show isn't just a hit, it's a structural revolution. The analysis calls it a one-man variety show disguised as a traditional sitcom.
Which is the perfect way to put it. Think about the economics of it. He plays all these iconic characters, Shanena, Jerome, Roscoe. He's injecting all this cultural density, but from a production standpoint, it's a masterstroke. He kept costs way down.
Because he was the cast. He wasn't paying 5 different star salaries.
Exactly. He just maximized his own screen time and his own creative control. 132 episodes, 11 million viewers at its peak. And then syndication.
Oh, BT ran it for 20 years straight. It felt like it was always on.
It generated billions. Billions. He built a self-sustaining empire from that one show, and it introduced him to whole new generations.
Okay, so he's got this television empire. Now let's see what happens when he takes that power to Hollywood. because the paradox, the undervaluation, it just gets worse.
It really does.
The first Bad Boys, 1995. You have to remember, Martin was the star. He was the anchor. The sources show he got paid $6 million. Will Smith got $2 million.
And the film was a smash. Makes over $140 million on a tiny $19 million budget. And what's crucial is that Lawrence proved he didn't need a co-star to draw a crowd.
Right, the Big Mama franchise.
Yeah, critics might have hated it, but those 3 movies made almost $400 million worldwide. It proved his specific style of physical comedy could carry a major franchise all by itself.
So he was the original anchor of Bad Boys? He proved he could carry his own blockbusters? So what happens when we jump forward 25 years?
This is the part that's it's incredible.
Bad Boys for life.
Huh.
2020. Will Smith's salary is $17 million. Martin Lawrence's salary was reset to $6 million.
The exact same number.
The exact same figure he made a quarter of a century earlier. That's not just stagnation. That's an insult.
It's not just an insult, it's structural. It tells you everything about Hollywood's priorities. The system valued Will Smith's frictionless global appeal over Martin's specific cultural texture.
So even though Lawrence is essential to the franchise's identity, especially in the U.S.,
his specificity is seen as a risk, or at least less valuable than the guy who can sell tickets everywhere from Tokyo to Berlin without any, cultural translation needed. Smout was utility, Lawrence was texture, and Hollywood always pays less for texture.
Even when the numbers tell a different story. His films have made over $2.5 billion. The TV empire, another $3 or $4 billion easy. They've extracted, what, $6 billion from his work?
While consistently telling him he's the number 2 guy, the numbers are the ultimate rebuttal.
Now we have to talk about the collisions. This wasn't just about money. It was an ideological fight. The biggest one was 1994 when he hosted Saturday Night Live.
Oh, the monologue.
He does this monologue about feminine hygiene. It was graphic, it was specific, and it was completely intentional.
It was a calculated attack on the whole idea of polite, advertiser-friendly television. I mean, what's the one thing you can't talk about on a network that relies on selling products to the masses? That. He went right for the core of their business model.
And NBC's reaction was surgical and kind of terrifying.
They didn't just ban him for life. They performed an act of erasure. They literally scrubbed the monologue from every single rerun. They put a title card over it.
Just a voiceover explaining it was removed.
They made him a silenced object. It proved that the network valued containing him more than they valued his art. It was all about protecting the advertising framework.
And you see the personal cost of that constant fighting just 2 years later? The Sherman Oaks incident in '96?
Right, where he's in the street with a gun shouting at traffic. The media, of course, immediately labels him as unstable, crazy.
But the analysis we're looking at offers a different take.
Yeah.
Total fatigue induced by the crushing weight of running an empire while fighting the entire system.
And for his core fans, I think that deepened the connection. They saw the pressure he was under. The tragedy is that this all happens right as the Martin sitcom ends so abruptly.
The lawsuit with Tisha Campbell Martin.
Right, settled out of court. But the show, which was still a massive hit, just vanishes, no finale, no closure, and it left a shadow on his reputation for years.
But he doesn't stay contained. Fast forward to today's Hollywood, which is so risk-averse, Lawrence makes a geopolitical pivot.
Right.
May 2024, The Bad Boys. Ride or Die premiere is in Riyadh,
Saudi Arabia. He found a new power base, completely outside of the traditional Hollywood system. He got his global validation without needing any American gatekeepers to sign off on it.
He bypassed them entirely.
And that brings us right back to where we started, that 2026 tour with the $250 tickets, the new 8-figure stand-up special coming to Bet. The industry is finally being forced to react to his economic reality. He just outlasted them.
He outlasted the censors, the executives, everyone, all by maintaining that direct line to his audience. He made himself too valuable to ignore.
The whole arc of his career is just this blueprint for how to build independent cultural leverage. He was banned, he was undervalued, he was written off for decades.
And now he's commanding 8-figure deals.
It really makes you wonder about every other artist the system is trying to sideline right now. He proved that real autonomy comes when you make the cost of ignoring you way higher than the cost of just paying you what you're worth.
So we're left with this final thought for you to consider. Has Hollywood truly evolved to accommodate the raw authenticity of figures like Martin Lawrence? Or has Lawrence simply built an economically undeniable fortress that leaves the institutions no choice but to applaud from outside its walls? Thank you for listening to the Golden Gems podcast. We'll be back next time with another deep dive. Until then, keep exploring, keep listening, and keep celebrating the power of uncompromising voices.